Johnson. I attend AC Flora, and I'm planning to major in geology at College of Charleston.
Good job.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dave Robinson here, father geologist Daniel Robinson. Thank you for joining in on this live this evening for some, this afternoon for others. Just wanted to do a quick rundown on something I'm planning to do coming in the next about another couple of days here. I want to continue and finish up something I started. It was a series, Please Help Find Daniel, Things to Consider. It's going to be part 3. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But first, I want to recognize that, hey, it's going on almost 3 years since my son went missing. The day is the 22nd, you guys. Every month and closer to the 23rd of the date is another month. Some would call it an anniversary type deal. I call it another day that my family and I are missing Daniel. It's very difficult for us. Long road. A lot of things came out of my search for my son. But I'm going to talk about some of those things. So I will see you guys on the other side. I want to do a prayer for all the families that's out there who have missing loved ones, because as we know, there's over 600,000 Americans go missing every year. Today, there will be, or already have happened, nearly thousands of Americans go missing every day, 600,000 every year. And thousands of them are children. And this is something that's a crisis in this country. We have to fight against, find solutions to. And that's what my job comes in. And you guys, I really, really would appreciate it if you guys hang in there. I see you guys on the other side. We'll talk about it. Like I said, again, I want to do a prayer for those families as well. Thank you. When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family. Without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search.
shelter from the storm. You keep me safe inside your wings. You are my comfort when life gets hard. You lead me to water to drink, and now I trust your gentle hand, even when I can't understand. I know your voice, I'm not afraid, walking with me at the same pace.
Hello, everybody. Dave Rosin here again. Thank you, guys, for coming in and joining me on this live. I am doing this evening for some, this afternoon for others. Today is the 22nd. Like I told you guys, I have missed about a month or two of doing what we usually do is the fast and prayer for Daniel, meaning that fast and prayer for all missing Americans out there. As I say many times before, Daniel, I like to call him American son. Because what happened to our family happens to many thousands of Americans every day in this country. So, having said that, what I normally do is do a prayer for those families, do a prayer for you guys as well. So, if you guys want to join in with me, I will start this prayer. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. Thank you for life, health, and strength. Thank you for this time bringing us together in one place, all in the same mind. We thank you, God, for blessing those who are joining us and all their needs. Lord, you know you watch over them, you watch over all of us, keep us from seen and unseen dangers in our life. Bless those who have missing loved ones today, Lord. We know that thousands go missing every day in this country, the little children that go missing. We ask you, Heavenly Father, to bring some closures, bring some answers to those families who are struggling right now, who are suffering, those like our family who have been going through for years and going through for days and months. Heavenly Father, bless their hearts, give them comfort, give them strength, and also give them closures. Let them find their loved ones safe. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for all your many blessings. Amen. Thank you so much. So thank you guys for joining in on that prayer. Again, you guys, I want to make sure that we never ever forget that, like I say, thousands of Americans go missing every year. And we have to make sure that we're doing our part as Americans to look out for each other. And one of those things that's easy to do. Social media is one of the most powerful tools, more powerful than we see in mainstream media, and you name it. News is what I'm talking about, and some of these shows that we watch. Word of mouth is everything. So you guys, all you have to do is share a story a day. Share as many missing loved ones story that you can find. That is very crucial for a family, because I know when Daniel first went missing, that was one of the elements that I needed badly. I had to ask law enforcement for that because they just didn't. I had to reach out to local news. I had a hard time with that, but finally I was able to do it. It took me 3 months to get Daniel's case on a national level, but it's worth it to fight for it. But it's a lot easier, you guys, when you just pick a family. It's many, trust me, there's many families out there. You can see, just say, hey, type in on Google or say who are missing Americans, and you will find a story to share. So that's very important for a family, because what it does is put that story out there, and a loved one, somebody put more eyes out there. So somebody see the story, they may have seen that person or know something about what happened, and that can bring some closures for these families. So what I will come in today as well is to talk about, like I said, you guys, the series that I started, and after I started running for Congress, things slowed down, and so I didn't get back to it. But I left off with a part 2. I will complete some of that as well, but I have a part 3 preview that I'm doing today. So when I'm saying preview, meaning that I'm just going to talk about it, what I plan to do. So what areas of Daniel's case that I want to talk about, and that area is Ken. Ken is the person that seen my son last, reportedly. Of course, we had others that say, hey, I seen Daniel. We have many reportings of that I tracked down leads where people say they thought they seen Daniel. Those didn't fan out. But we do have one story that law enforcement is leaning heavily on. At the same time, those evidence that law enforcement gathered to bolster their theory that the vehicle been there for 30 days only lessens the credibility of Ken's story. So I was going to go through that, you guys, and show you how that relates to my son's case, how that what I've done did not make sense into Daniel's case. So I did my own research, you guys. Like I told you guys know, I have started my own investigation into my son's case. I didn't have law enforcement to help, so I had to start my own investigation. And the things that I have found is contradictory to anything that Ken was saying at the time. So I'm going to play a little video, you guys, starting off up front, a little video where I was out in the desert. And to give you the backdrop, I was out in the desert after a search. I have been having weekly searches. We did 49 weeks of searches out there, covered 35,000 acres of land. And often, and a lot of times I'm out there in that desert by myself doing my own investigation. And this particular day, the volunteers left, and I decided to hang around and trace Ken's story. You guys know the story was that Ken said my son met him outside his gate. When you see the video start, that's where Ken said he met my son outside that gate. They talked for a moment. My son followed him into this gate that lead into the snoring desert. They drove 1 mile west, 2 miles north to get to this well site. So that's the backdrop of the beginning of the story. But then there's some details there you guys will hear concerning. He said that my son they've been there at 9. They reached the well site at 9 o'clock. Daniel, they had a brief conversation. Daniel waved off at him. He was gone at 9:15, never to be seen again, you guys. So what I was saying, the details would be that Ken said that he told me, and I wrote down notes. I had you guys can. I wish I would have put the pictures as well. I have witnesses. I have 2 eyewitnesses, 2 people listening. I gave this to law enforcement. They refused to accept it, but he changed his story. He gave it verbatim as law enforcement told me the story, almost like it was rehearsed. It was on point. I mean, like word from word what law enforcement told me when Daniel went missing. But as they're talking to him for a while, he changed the story, meaning that he started adding some other details to his story. He said, hey, he stayed left of the tracks, that he didn't disturb them. And when he got to that T-junction that he talked about, he said, being that he didn't want to disturb those tracks, but he said that he knew he had to look because the story, this it's going to get big. It's going to get big. And for other words, lack of words, he said something to the facts of that the story going to get big and it's going to go national. The police are going to come looking. That he said the first, then they say the story is going to go national, and those things like that. So was problematic for me. Hindsight, looking at like what make you think this is going to be a big story. And then he went on and describe his travel on into the desert. But the ironicity to the whole story is his story led to where hindsight as well. The vehicle showed up 30 days later. So in that general area. So again, I will and you see me follow those tracks based on the story that he told me and my listeners. One was my daughter, and so we follow that story that law enforcement refuses to take. They pick and choose, cherry pick what they want, as long as it fits their narrative. That's what it always have been, and it's still that case. So here we go. I'm going to play it, and then I don't have but a little time. So like I said, this is just a preview, you guys, of what I will be breaking down. I have a lot more. Like I said, I will have pictures of me talking to Ken when I first got there. You can see the notepad in my hand. So I even get it law enforcement. They refused to take it. These are notes, things I wrote in real time. You can see the pictures, and they don't want that because it'd be contradictory to their narrative. But here we go. Okay. This is Dave Robinson. I'm getting ready to do a run through of everything that was told to me about my son when he went missing. Walkway here. This is the road. One time ago, this road was called the Road to Nowhere. You probably could tell why. Other than they put a community down on both ends. But this is the gate right here. This is where we have our searches. I have that sign there. I'm getting ready to take that down once I'm done here today. This is where we come in. That's the Cactus Road sign there on the road there. We use that as a landmark, but actually we come in this gate here. So this is the gate here. But anyway, my son came here supposedly, this is a story. He met the gentleman here. The only guy that seen my son last at the well site, he met him here at this gate. Story was, the gentleman came from that road there, met my son right here where this truck, this U-Haul truck is. Met him out here on the road. And like I said, they had a little conversation, but I was told from that point, my son got back in his vehicle, his Jeep Renegade. See if I can do this right. He followed the guy down into the well site. And this is how we do it. Oh, I dropped the phone. This is how we do it. This is gonna be a long video. Taking my ride down here, but I'm gonna try to drive fast as I can. Not too fast. Just loose. You know, we do a lot of traveling through here, so the dirt is really dry and loose. But I can tell you, you can see right here, you probably can't see it from the camera screen, but there's a lot of tracks here. There's tracks that we did. A lot of people do come down here now, especially we do our searches and things like that. So y'all's gonna have tracks, right? We didn't come down this far today because we stopped about here because we did our we stopped at the gate where we had our meet up at, and then we went back on the main road and went up north to do our line searches. So we definitely went down here, but you can see all these tracks on the ground right here. These tracks been here for years. I mean, not years, for months. I'll take that back. I don't want to say years. They've been here for months. You can even see the ones right there on the shoulder, right? You can mind you, these tracks didn't happen. They always here. You can see, if you look real good, you can see a track leading off over there. These tracks been here for months. Every time I come down here, you're always gonna see tracks on this road, right? Whether it rain or whether it don't rain. Even after the rain, you're always gonna have these tracks on the road. So you know where I'm going to. I can't tell you over here to the right here, it's a new well site they putting in. All that wasn't there. They just really starting this new well site there. They already had put one previously. It's another one really close. They out there now working, but they did one closer to here. I'll come up to it shortly. But this is the road. You drive over, supposed to travel like a mile down here west. What I'm doing is going west right now. Down this road here. All right, into the desert. We're going farther and farther into the desert. So, again, I am doing the storyline of what the guy at the well told me, not what he told Buckeye. You know, what he told me with the two witnesses I had. Said my son followed him down here, so I'm planning to roll up my son. So I'll be planning to roll up my son, and I will be going down here where I think it happened, exactly how he told me. All right, but I'm gonna point out some things as I'm going, like this right here, this area over here. If I can see it, that's the new well site they're putting in. That's the first one they did recently, and the one I showed you a while ago, that's the second one they're doing on now. But this is that's a well site that they just completed. But anyway, we're going to the well site where my son was supposedly last seen. Now, mind you, you look at the road as I'm traveling, you see all these tracks. We did not make these today. These tracks been out for weeks. So we got some bovines out here, so you're gonna see some cattle. I saw them when I was coming up. Bighorn cattle, they out here in the field. One right here on the shoulder of the road. We got like a whole herd of them to my left there, but this is one I got to watch out for them because they will attack and tear up your vehicle. So he's really nervous right now. I'm not gonna mess with the big fella. But anyway, he's probably wondering what I'm doing. But they got him out here, so we have to be careful with that. I tell the volunteers we're out here searching. We stay out of their way, they definitely stay out of ours. They try to get away. Volunteers and myself, I haven't seen none in a while. But anyway, what I did is turn left. What I meant to say, I just turned off to the right. I meant to say I turned off to the right, and this is that was a mile down, and I just turned to the right. I kind of missed where that cattle was sitting on that corner. I just turned to the right, and now I'm going up towards this north, up towards the well site, right? And it's supposed to be 2 miles from that point up here. Now, I should have looked at the mileage right here. This is the mileage I got here, where I'm at now. And then I'm gonna put the mileage down when I get to this well site. See if that's 2 miles, right? So it's a little ways up. It's up and down, so you can see this camera bouncing all over the place. But I'm trying to do my best. I don't like being out here in this desert by myself. You know, a few people know I'm out here. You know, my search coordinator, logistics coordinator know I'm out here. One of the volunteers know I'm not, two of the volunteers know I'm out here. But you know, like I said, I'm not really comfortable being out here by myself in this desert. This is where my son went missing. A lot of other people been found out here, so I had to always protect myself at all times. But I do want to let y'all see the story line. Now, this is the road. You see how tight this road is, so I want to keep that in mind. This is a really tight road. A vehicle come the other direction, it would be very hard for that vehicle to pass. I literally have to get on the shoulder to, you know, let that vehicle pass. Anyway, we're going up. All right. We're almost there. I see the little tank that they use. That tank, mind you, the tank wasn't there. All the stuff wasn't this big. This clearing that I'm driving up now, it wasn't this wide because, you know, we traveled it so much in the past. Of course, the dirt, the road get more defined, and, you know, the vegetation's not there, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, so anyway, this is the tunnel. When I get to this point, this is where it stops. I'm looking at the mileage now, so I can look back at it later. And then when you do it, it's turn left. Then you have to turn left, right? Okay, everybody, I just want to stop it right there for a moment because, you know, we're not gonna do the whole video. Just like I said, you guys, this is just the preview of what I will be talking about. So what I showed you right now is that, you know, the storyline of Ken saying he met my son on the roadway, and they spoke for a moment, and my son followed him into that desert 1 mile west, 2 miles north. Now, when I got to that point, and what you would find is, you know, 2 miles north would not take you to this well site. If you go 2 miles straight, if I wanted to make that turn, it would take you to the second well site, is where you guys that remember that have been following this case, where I found suspicious items, because I ended up doing my own investigation again into these wells. I had a company come in and go down into these wells and to look, because law enforcement, they did have, again, like they're doing the forensics on this vehicle, they did a half job. When I had to force them to look into this well, they took a camera down into the well that couldn't be submergible. Barely touched the water surface, and they about to freak out about their camera. They'll say nothing to see here. So that prompted me to get my own company to go in and go down in that well. And where we saw something that appears to be atop of a human skull, we did see tons of dirt dumped down there. We saw debris, things that shouldn't be in a well site, based on those who assess those well site. And the guy, to even have a deal to even go on the well site, they inspect wells, and he said he have never seen that in his 20 years of things that was dumped down in that well. And also the fact that, you know, like I said, that's what he does for a living, is inspect wells, and that's the only reason why I was able to get permission to even go down in the well in the first place, because it's a private well. And so that's the well that Daniel have, based on my investigation, really was located. The well was located where he should have been, if based on the 2 miles. I'll say it out there, based on the 2 miles, that the story that Ken gave, because it was 1 mile that turn I just made on this video. That's not the storyline. And also the fact that I checked that well as well, also with the same company. But again, I stopped right there to make that point, but I'm gonna let the video play just a little while longer, and then we're gonna jump to something else. But like I said, you guys, I'm gonna come back with this video, come back with this part 3, things to consider. It's gonna be Ken's point of view of what happened, and I will give you the breakdown of what I found in my evidence, how law enforcement took his story and they took it as the gospel. And then at the same time, they contradict themselves with this MileIQ app that they claim that they want to hinge their story on, because the MileIQ app gives them cover to say the vehicle was there for 30 days, which it wasn't. So again, you guys, I'm going to break those things down and tell you how I found in my investigation the reason why I always felt that it was a cover up on law enforcement's point of view, you know, in my opinion. And so I'm going to show you the evidence and things I have that would suggest that. So, because the reason why I say suggest that, because it don't make sense. Everything that law enforcement put out there as a narrative in their reports and things like that does not match reality. They do not match things on the ground and stuff like that. So things I found. So again, we will be exploring that. Like I said, you guys know I'm running for Congress. So, it may take some time. Like I said, I'm going to give it, try to push this in the next few days after sometimes the beginning of next week. So you guys be looking out for that. I will announce it on the social media platform. I announce it on my personal platforms for those who have that. So you guys can come back, and I'm trying to make sure I do it on the prime time. I try to go every Friday at prime time to do some videos as well, but that's for the campaign. So you guys, if you guys want to follow me for the campaign stuff, you can do that too. So that's on Fridays evening prime time. So again, I'm going to play a little bit more of this video. I want to talk about one thing about my website and the also the flyer distribution again. And then I have to leave because I have an engagement to go to around 6:15 p.m. So again, you guys, I will play a little bit more of this, and we'll talk about it on the other side. To get to this well site. So now we turn to the left. All right, this is the well site. Right now, only problem is all this right here, this clearing, it wasn't like this. All this brush like you see on the side, that was real close to the well site. But this is the well, right? They just say my son was last seen that. They didn't have this tank here. The tank wasn't there. And that's why they cleared this area, because they was bringing this tank in. Because they pull water out this well now. That's why they got this machine on. But anyway, this is the tank. But he said my son was here at this well site. And his story is that they had a brief conversation at this well site, roughly 10 minutes. My son was staring off into the desert. Now you see all this brush, and I'm gonna tell you, now, like I told you, all the stuff that you see right there, all this clearing wasn't here. It was really close to this well site. They just cleared this area. But if you look at this in the summertime, it's green, and he said he was staring off into the desert. Where he was staring off to? Bushes? Why would I be just staring off looking at the bushes or whatever? So I don't know. Okay, let's go with that. Then he said my son drove off from this well site, waved and drove off. Now he's still at the well site, so he can see my son driving off until he gets uphill this road where we're about to turn. Once we turn, he don't see my son no more, because you can see how this terrain made. So all he can see is my son traveling up here, right? But what I was going to say to you before I start, let's say my son went ahead and left, and he couldn't see him till he got to the turn up here, this turn. But he said after a while he was going to search for my son. Now you see this ground right here, how wide it is. Of course, now he stayed left of the tracks. Let's pretend that all these tracks you see on the ground is not there. And I need to get out of the car so you can see how many tracks there is. Because there's a lot of cars. And these tracks are from the many times that people like myself and volunteers came out here for months. These tracks are still here even after the rains that we had here. So he had to literally see all these tracks, none of them being washed away. This is not coming from the U-Haul truck that I just drove. These are tracks that come from months of driving down this terrain, right? And I'm gonna go continue to do that also off and on. Let's see here. Anyway, now we get to this T-junction here. Now this is a different T-junction. This T-junction is where you can go up here north, and you can go to another well site, right? And that's the north well site. But I'm gonna go right back. He said my son must have left this area. He didn't say he went up this way. He said he went back to the T-junction and he went right. So if he was talking about this T-junction, he go right. That's the direction Daniel's supposed to go, right? To get to the other T-junction, right? So the well site is back there. We just turn the corner. You can still see the tank over there. Okay, I pause every so often because I want to point out as well. When I said something about that first season, when you leave that well site, again, you guys are just following along. You get to that end, coming out the well site, you come to that is a small T junction. If you go to the left, that go north, and then if you go to the right, that'll go south. But that's the correct direction. South is where you go to get back to the next T junction, and you can either go left or right, and that would be east or west. And Daniel, I want to well, I let it play a little bit, but I have to stop here because I'm looking at the time. But what's going to happen is you guys is going to lead you back to that T junction where I made the turn where that cattle was sitting at. According to Ken, he was able to distinguish Daniel's tracks out of all these tracks that's been there for months. And also that his thing was that, and I'm going to show you guys where he talked about on one of his accounts that it was about to rain, and then the other also he said it was raining. So it's two different contradictories of to what really was going on that day. But you look at the weather app, it wasn't much rain at all. And then the other part is, like I said, once he got to that T junction, he's saying that Daniel went to the west and went out to the desert. That's where the tracks led to. Now for Daniel, mindset. If you left that well site and let's supposedly some would say, hey, because I heard a person say this before, hey, that geologist got lost and he went west. What I can tell you that road, when you go to that T junction, you go west for about a good about 300 feet, and then the road curves to the south. So really, actuality is not ever going west out into the desert. It's actually going south down the desert. And when you make that curve, immediately there's a power plant that comes up, like for the infrastructure sitting out there in the desert, and there's a gate there, a wooden gate. And so the problem with that story is if Daniel was lost, person, hey, did I turn right or did I turn left? He didn't come through a wood gate, so that would automatically tell a person, hey, I'm going the wrong direction. I need to turn around and go back the other direction. I must have came from the other way. So, but when you guys will also listen to the notes that I wrote down with Ken's story, he went through that gate. He said, I went through this wooden gate, and he went to another mile or so to when he came out to an open area, which what we call is the quarry. And then he said he went up on a high area to look and see if he could see Daniel's vehicle from a point. But when you go in that quarry area, you look around, you see a lot of high areas, so it's hard to tell what he meant by that. But he also said he painted some rocks with red paint because he wanted law enforcement to know where the tracks led to. And then, like he was leading the law enforcement over to where the vehicle eventually going to be found. Because I tell you guys that when you follow that story, it takes you there. So, mind you, I gave all this law enforcement, they refused to take that stuff. But this is where we're at. This is where we're at in this investigation and on those points. And the reason why I'm sharing all of those, you guys, because it's a failure with law enforcement to, and they all gang up together. You have the local FBI. Ahead of Akil is his name. I forgot his last name, but he's the head of the FBI in Phoenix field office, and and some of the other law enforcement and some of the local leaders in Phoenix, in Phoenix area of Arizona, will take law enforcement blue because if you think about it, guys, Buckeye is one of the fastest growing cities in Arizona, and it's stand to make a bunch of money, millions of dollars, and that community is growing, and they want to make sure that community don't have a bad name, don't have a bad rap, things like that. But it's besides the fact that the job is not being done when it comes to a young Black geologist that went missing out there, and the fact that we found human remains bring of other families out there in that desert, and that's very crucial because you know what? If we wasn't out there searching for my son, those remains would have been still lying down on the ground somewhere. Families would have never known where their loved ones was last rested. So, so was able to bring those closures for some. As a form of closure, nobody want to find a loved one in that manner, but to give them some form of closure, at least they know what happened. They know where their loved one rested. So that type stuff. But again, you guys, I will be doing a little bit more of that. I am concentrating on my work, to win my primary that's on June 11th against and then also going to the November general election to go against a incumbent who haven't been representing our district very well. And also the fact that I need to go to Congress to do the work of the people, especially with this missing American crisis, to do what I learned in my journey to find my son. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the ins and outs of what happens when the failures happen in law enforcement, when the failures happen in the system, and the laws that can be passed that would help to, we got the Billy's Law and things like that, but it don't go far enough, you guys. I'm very grateful to hear of some of these legislations that have been passed to help ease the data. When I say data, the collection of data from one state to the other, all sharing that information. But it needs to go further than that. And we need to make sure that when loved ones go missing in real time, we have these things available for those families. So that's my job come in. Like I say, my job come in on that point when on the national side, when and when it's about the missing Americans. So that's where I'm at, you guys. I'm looking at time over and over again because I'm running short on time. But just want to say thank you guys for joining in on this live this afternoon, for some, this evening for others. I will be doing this again, like I said, and hope you see you on the next time. God bless you. Hold those you love very tight. Like I tell you many times before, we have issues with our loved ones. That's part of being alive. We're all human. We're not robots. So sometimes you have things that you just displeased about with your loved one. But what you can do, in my opinion, is to say, you know what, I love you, but we cannot talk right now. I need a moment to be away from you. But I just want you to know I love you. And the reason why I say that, you guys, not saying that happened in my family, but what I'm saying is for a father, and a mother, for me, it was 2 days before my son went missing last time I was able to tell him that I love him on the phone. And so, you don't want your loved one to be reduced to phone or to voicemails and old videos and things like that. So that's the thing we have right now, for my family. And it's hurtful. It's hurtful. So, what they would say, hey, give a person their roses while they're alive. I'm not saying my son is deceased or anything. What I'm saying is and that's another point, you guys, when you have a missing loved one, you just don't know. And that's very painful for anybody, just not knowing. So again, you have a blessed evening, you guys. I'll talk to you guys next time. Or like I said, have a happy, whatever you're doing on Memorial Day. I don't never like to say Memorial Day is a happy time because we lost a lot of battle buddies. We lost some when I was in Afghanistan. So I remember my brothers and sisters who fought side by side with me as well, and gave the ultimate sacrifice for this country. And so we're always going to remember them. And you guys remember all the others as well. So take care of yourself, be blessed, and I'll see you next time. My name is David Robinson. I'm a proud son of Columbia, South Carolina. I was raised on the Southern values of faith, family, and treating others as you would like to be treated. I believe in the power of a handshake and the strength of one's word. As a single parent, I faced the challenges of making ends meet firsthand. When I heard the call to serve, I knew I had to act. I served my country where I learned that we are all in this together, regardless of race, color, or politics, whether it was in Afghanistan or Arizona. I saw the power of cooperation. Now, I'm ready to bring that same spirit to Washington. Our nation's future depends on our ability to work together and focus on the bread and butter issues that matter most to everyday Americans, not sowing seeds of division. This November, when you cast your ballots, remember, it's about more than just politics. It's about sending someone who would truly represent all South Carolinians. I am David Robinson, and I approve this message.